Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Talk About Feminism. We're your hosts, Halie and Mackenzie, and this week we are on episode 24. So we're going to be talking about Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month because it's September and it's Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yep, it will be a hard topic. We personally have experience with this, so it will be difficult to talk about, but it's very important to both of us. And let's get to it. Haley, how was your week? How's your day been?
My day has been good. I feel like I've been pretty productive. We worked out this morning.
That feels like
And
so long ago.
I know. Um, we're recording in the nighttime right now, everyone, and we normally record. We've said this before. We normally record on like Saturday afternoons, so it's weird when we
hmm
record at night because it's like it throws me off.
A little
Um,
bit. If you can't tell if you're watching on YouTube, the lighting is a little different. We've
yeah,
had to play some tricks on the lighting to try
yeah,
and
we
get it
have
to as close.
lots of lamps
Yeah.
everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it's been good. I just worked out, worked. Yeah. How was your day? I know you had school.
Yeah, it was good. I like that we work out in the mornings. It feels so nice because I do feel like I'm more productive. And
Mhm.
I literally worked on school all day today and I feel like I got nothing done. So I feel
Really?
productive, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, you know that feeling. Like you literally work all day and it just feels like you're getting nowhere.
Yeah. Ugh, that sucks. I hate that. I'm glad that I'm taking a gap semester.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
good.
all right. Okay, well, we don't really have any other news. We do have a shout out before we get into the feminist highlight. And
Yes.
this was sent to us by one of our listeners. We really appreciate it and we absolutely loved it. So we're going to read it.
So, okay, so this was sent to us on Instagram and it relates to our episode 2 weeks ago about beauty standards and media.
hmm
So this is what it says. This is from Lexi and Lindsay Kite, and the tag is at Beauty Redefined, and it's an excerpt from More Than a Body, and that's their book. So this is what an excerpt from their book. It says, quote, girls learn the most important thing about themselves is how they look. Boys learn the most important thing about girls is how they look. Girls look at themselves, boys look at girls. Girls are held responsible for boys looking. Girls change how they look, boys keep looking. The problem isn't how girls look. The problem is how everyone looks at girls. Solve the problem by teaching everyone that girls don't exist to be looked at. End quote.
Boom. I don't know what else
Yeah.
to say after that. It speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it goes hand in hand with our beauty standards episode. I think it's a really good message that you don't need to change yourself for anybody. Who you are and how you look, it's perfect. You're beautiful just how you are.
Yeah, and I think it kind of gets down to one of the roots is like that men and women are both sexualized at times, but especially women. And so it gets down to that root, like, stop sexualizing women. So
Yep.
I really like that. So that's we actually have two shout outs today. We had
Oh,
that one.
sorry.
And then if you guys are watching on YouTube, we have these little pink pins and they say feminist on them. And our two younger sisters got them for us.
Super cute.
Yep,
Come
we
watch
love
on
them.
YouTube so you can see.
Yeah, yeah. At Real Talk About Feminism podcast on YouTube, so you can see our super cute pins, and we'll take a picture and post it on Instagram because we love these pins. So we're wearing them today to show you guys.
How fun. Well, let's get into the feminist highlight for today. So, as Haley mentioned, September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And so we are highlighting a childhood cancer survivor. Her name is Brianna, I believe, or Brianna Comerford. And she was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma when she was a child. And on June 9th of 2009, she was declared cancer free. You know the feeling. It's great.
Yeah.
So I got all this information from, it was like a blog type format, something that she wrote on the hopesandheroes.org website. It was a blog post from her. So this is all like pretty much from her experience in her own words. And we're going to link that in the show notes. It was really cool. I read it like 3 times because it was just so cool to read. So she said, quote, "Although I do not have it anymore, cancer is forever a part of me, a memory, a journey, a story, even a way of enjoying life." End quote. So she turned her experience into a positive one as much as she could. And she said in the post that having cancer led her to be able to have very cool opportunities. She was the National Youth Ambassador for Hyundai's Hope on Wheels. She's been a public speaker for organizations like Hopes and Heroes, the October Women Foundation, the American Cancer Society, the Valerie Fund, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and Pennies for Patients. And she, forgot the date. Um, she lobbied in Capitol Hill for the Creating Hope Act, which was passed by President Obama in 2012. And this is basically just creating means for hospitals and research companies and the country in general to research pediatric cancer. So, treatments, further research, diagnosis, things like that. And I will link that article in the show notes as well because it was very cool to read. And the article that I'm referring to was written in 2015, and it was right after she attended Stupid Cancer's CancerCon, actually in Denver. So kind of cool,
Oh,
close to home.
okay.
And she also went into detail about how much she enjoyed her time at that convention as well. So Brianna Comerford, very cool. There's countless people just like her, just like you. And so I just had to choose one, but I really liked her story.
Yeah, I really like her story too. I love all the activism that she's done from it and really sharing her story.
For sure. And I had never heard of Stupid Cancer's CancerCon. But when I
Same.
was reading, I was like, Haley, you should look into that.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it right after this
Yeah.
now. So like Kent has been referring to, this is a hard topic for us because I am a cancer survivor. And I can't remember if I shared something on Instagram, if I had shared I think I did share the post that I had made on my personal account for Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month on the Instagram for Real Talk. But yes, I'm a cancer survivor, and we wanted to get on here and talk about this because, like we always say, like it's really powerful to share stories and to get your point across by sharing your story. And this cancer journey is very much a family story and a family journey, and it's something that will always be it's a journey. It's like never
Yeah.
ending. So we both just wanted to kind of share our stories. But first, we wanted to start out with some statistics to kind of tell you guys or inform you guys why Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month is important, because a lot of people don't realize it and don't know that September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Um, so something okay, a few years ago, I started trying to do something every September, a lot through my social media, but I started trying to do something.
Mhm.
And I just really felt passionate about spreading awareness that it was Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month because people just really don't know about it. And like for example, everyone knows that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I think that it's great that there's so like everyone knows that October wear pink, you
Right.
know? It's just so ingrained in us, and I want that. I want to see a day where everybody knows that September is Go Gold for pediatric cancer awareness. Because the reality is, like, when you're that young, like, cancer is hard for any age and for any circumstance, like anyone. But especially when you're that young, you don't have a grasp on like fully even like what life is, you know? Like you haven't had life experiences, and that's a huge thing. And a lot of people, like when I tell them that I'm a cancer survivor and I tell them how young I was, like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you probably don't remember that much, do you?" But I do.
I didn't know people
And
said that to you.
yeah, people are like, "Oh, well, you probably don't remember that much because you were so young." And they're not trying to say it in a rude
No,
way
of
or
course not.
anything. But yeah, I'm like, "No, I do remember." Because that's a really traumatic thing to go through.
Hmm.
So yeah, let's share some statistics because that way we'll start off on like kind of why we need to care about it. So, one of the first statistics is that cancer is the leading cause of death by disease in children in the United States. So that's a big deal, the leading
Hmm.
cause of death by disease in the United States in kids. So we should probably, raise more funds and, do more stuff, and we'll get into that later, but um it's just so crazy. Another thing that was really interesting to me was that globally, there are more than 400,000 children diagnosed with cancer each year. That's a
That is
lot
a
of
lot.
kids. Like, that's honestly so crazy.
On top of that, 20% of children with cancer in the US will not survive it. And that comes out to be 1 out of 5. So 1 out of 5 kids with cancer in the US will not survive it.
It's really crazy to think that, I mean, I was the 4 out of 5 who survived, but things could have easily gone a different way, and I could have been that one.
Hmm.
It's just so sad. Yeah, that's a crazy statistic. We'll just share a few more. Um, Approximately 40,000 children are on active treatment in the US at any given time. That's also a lot of kids.
Hmm.
And two-thirds of childhood cancer survivors experience at least one side effect. Do you want to read the list of side
Yeah,
effects?
so the list is secondary cancers. So, like if it comes back, heart damage, lung damage, infertility, chronic hepatitis, alterations in growth and development, impaired cognitive abilities, and psychosocial impact.
Yeah, and I mean, even for me, I mean, this is getting pretty personal, but um I suffer from issues with my bones because I was getting such intense treatment
Hmm.
when I was growing. So I've had a lot of complications with my bones. I can't really do anything with like hard impact or else it's super painful. And infertility has also been a discussion for me too. And as of now, like they think everything will be fine. But it is so scary to know that I think it was like 3 years ago, maybe, no, I think it was like 3 years ago. I was told that I might not be able to have kids. And not that I was going to be trying to have kids at that time, but to be told that young and have to go through like do certain blood tests and everything to check and see if I could possibly have kids. Like that was really scary. And I remember when I found that out and I found out that I was going to have to do the blood test for it. I just remember being so sad and I was just crying and the family like we all I'm sure you remember this too. We all went
Hmm.
out to Sonic and like we were just like trying to you guys were just trying to take my mind off of it, but it was like it was so sad for like everyone. And I wasn't even at the point of my life where I was like trying to have kids. I'm not at that point right now, but like it was just something that I was like I might not be able to have kids and I probably will now, but you never know. There's still a chance because I had radiation down there.
Yeah, very intense doses of radiation. And you were
Yeah.
so young,
So
like, yeah, it had a lot, it does have a lot of side effects for you.
mhm. And not only just the physical ones, I know that a lot of survivors have um different side effects like um a lot of people struggle with like PTSD and anxiety
Hmm.
around like going to get medical treatment, and for a long time I was having major like full on anxiety attacks, like so scary when I would have to go into the doctor. And I've been able to work through that. It's still never going to go away because it kind of flares up sometimes. Like my last doctor's appointment, like I didn't have an anxiety attack, but I was just anxious. And so that's something that is always going to be dealt with. But, I just know a lot of survivors will deal with PTSD from that. And so that's another thing that wasn't listed. But of course, like there's going to be side effects that way. And I know that there's like that sort of emotional side effect on like all of the family members too, which is really hard.
Yeah, well, I'm proud of you because you're a phlebotomist. And you
Yeah.
literally, like, that was a big deal for you to overcome that. Like going through the class and
Mhm.
getting poked so many times. Cause if you if you've gone through the class, you get poked like a million times in one day. So I'm really proud of you for going through that because that was hard. That was a big
Thank
deal
you.
to
Yeah.
overcome that.
So I actually, quick little side note, but this is just like highlighting people who are just who have been like so supportive of my journey. And again, I'm calling it a journey because it's a lifelong thing. And this is a more recent thing that happened. So it just proves that like there's still things going on. So I had to get IV certified before I got my
Mhm.
phlebotomy. And like I could start IVs and like give people fluids. And then I got certified to just draw blood, like straight up draw blood. And so in my IV class, I was with all of my people that I graduated EMT school with and the teacher who I had known really well. And so I was really nervous to be stuck. And I was like freaking out, but I was like, no, like I can't be a wimp. Like I'm supposed to be tough. Like I'm in the medical world now. And I remember like talking to my friends about it in class, and they were like, girl, like literally don't even worry about it. Like talk to the instructor and he's going to tell you that you don't need to get poked. Like it's okay. You're okay. Like don't even worry about it. And I was like, no, like I need to contribute. I need to be part of the team, you know? And they all were just like, no, like you had something like was really hard happen to
Mhm.
you. Like you don't have to worry about it. So I talked to the instructor and he was obviously so nice and he was like, no, like don't even worry about it. Like you don't need to get stuck. Um and then I ended up getting stuck. Like I ended up letting someone stick me, and everyone around me in that class was like so supportive. Like everyone was like making sure I was okay, and it wasn't even in a way like that I felt like embarrassed or like pointed out in any way. It was just like people were lifting me up, and that's just like a really good example of how people still people are just so understanding and so supportive like when you have a really good group around
Mhm.
you. And like I've always felt this really good support system around me through this whole journey, so I really appreciate it.
That's good. Yeah, and I think I remember this. When you were going through the phlebotomy class, not just for IVs, and your
Hmm.
teacher, was it the same teacher? I don't remember. But I
um
remember because I was living in St. George at the time, and so we called each other all the time. And you were saying like she
hmm
was so like in awe of you for like being in the class and
yeah,
going through that.
yeah, she was. And at that point I had already been through or I had already been through IV school and EMT school, and I had been sticking people like in the back of an ambulance for about 5 months. So at that point, I was okay to let people stick me. But I had told her, like, just so you know, like, sometimes I just get anxious. And yeah, you're right. Because you had her
Yeah.
as a phlebotomy teacher too. Like, she was so nice about everything. But you're right. Like, she was just really supportive of me and, like, really built me up. And that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of a sidetrack. But just kind of we just wanted to highlight kind of the side effects that really do make it a journey too. Like it's these are things that I'll have to deal with lifelong.
For sure.
And
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like one thing I want to add because like I went to one of your more recent doctor's appointments and like there's so many things that you have to watch out for. Like you
mhm,
can't take NSAIDs, you have certain things that you
yeah,
can't put into your body. Since you have one kidney, like you really have to watch your water intake and make sure you're having enough fluids. Like just normal things that like for you are normal, but people who never went through it don't ever have to think about really.
yeah, yeah. And like I don't want to make it seem like my life is like this like sob story, because really like I feel like I'm very lucky. I feel like I've gotten a second chance at life, and I don't always appreciate that second chance, but um I mean, honestly, like my side effects could be worse. Like I could be on dialysis for having one kidney, or I could be having to take blood pressure
Yeah.
medication because having one kidney affects that. You know, like I really feel like I don't have it too bad. I feel like it's been more of the like mental aspect
Mhm.
for me, and I've been able to overcome like that anxiety with like going back to the doctor, but it's more of the mental aspect, cuz yeah, like sometimes I can kind of become a hypochondriac, and I know that you can attest to that, cuz
I'm
like
just kind of sitting here blinking my eyes because, yeah, sometimes like we're like, girl, you're fine. Like, you're okay. That's normal. But I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like, there is PTSD.
Yeah. So, yeah, and everyone puts up with it, and I have gotten a lot better. Like, it's not always, I think, since working in the medical field
For
a
sure.
little bit, I have gotten better. But yeah, like there's just different things like that. So, we just wanted to highlight that why we're discussing childhood cancer, because it is a bigger deal than a lot of people know. And within the past few years, I've noticed it's gained more
Hmm.
traction this month. Um, but yeah, we wanted to start off with those statistics because it is such a big deal and it is really important to us. So we want to share a little bit about our stories now.
Yeah, yours will be longer. Why don't you go first to like lay the background, and then I'll give my perspective. Disclaimer, I was very young too. And like I feel like there's a lot
Hmm.
that like I subconsciously just like suppressed or blocked out. Like I don't remember everything. So I'll give like how I remember feeling and kind of what I remember about that time, and then we'll come together.
And by the way, this is new for us because I've never heard Ken's side of the story. We haven't
Yeah,
discussed this
not
ever.
really.
Yeah, so this will be new. So you guys are along for the ride. Um, so I'm kind of just gonna give the the basics. So I was 5 years old, and I feel like I'm at
Like a public
like
event, or
a
oh,
group or
like group
something.
therapy or something.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Um, so I was 5 years old, and I think I was in the bath, if I can remember right, and my parents noticed that my stomach was like distended, so it was just like bigger. And so they called our grandma, who is a nurse, and they just told her about it, and she said to take me to the ER. So my parents took me to the ER, and I remember distinctly. I remember like sitting there watching a TV, like in, you know how they have it
Hmm.
at the ER. It's like a tiny TV in the corner. I remember sitting there and watching that and just kind of being like, "What's going on?" Um, and but I remember feeling like something was serious, but I didn't know what. Um, so then I remember just like going home, and then I don't know how much time passed, probably not that long. I remember my parents calling me into their bedroom, and they had like I think Grandma Beth knitted or sewed this blanket, the animal one,
Yes.
that one. Um, so I remember like that blanket on the bed, and it kind of had like these little like yarny tie
Hmm.
things that came up. So I remember like playing with the ties, and I remember my parents sitting me down on the bed and telling me that I have cancer, and them. I don't honestly remember anything after that. I just remember it like kind of like when something like crazy happens and you kind of just like
Yeah.
or like trying to process it. I remember that. Like even though I was young, I remember that happening. And I remember I was just like, "What?" And I'm pretty sure they were probably telling me like what that meant and what we were going to be doing. But I remember them telling me that I had cancer. So we moved down to um where's UC Davis?
Yeah. So
Sacramento.
yeah, we moved to a town like a couple hours away from there.
Yeah. So we like had to pack up everything, or like movers packed up everything. So I remember driving down to the hospital, and we ended up staying there for a month. And it was just me and my parents, Ken's and our younger sister Sadie. Nat wasn't born yet, but you guys were with our family friends who are basically family. You guys were with the
Yeah, I
Vandershoots.
was trying to think. I was like, we didn't stay at the hospital for a month. And then I was thinking, like, where was Nat? Because in my notes, I put me, Sadie, and Nat.
Yeah, Nat wasn't
Okay, that's
born.
crazy.
Mom was
Okay.
pregnant. So, I think. um, So, yeah, they were with our family friends. I was in the hospital, and I feel like I recently wrote up this experience in my head, or maybe I'm thinking of something else, but it's like really vivid in my head. So, while I was in the hospital, I received chemotherapy, radiation therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and surgery. So they first removed
Mm-hmm.
the kidney. And for people watching on YouTube, if you can see, I have a scar right here. Okay. So that's from the surgery. Um, so I got the tumor removed. It was a 9-hour surgery. And from what I've heard, it was really scary because, I mean, like, I could have died. It was like life or death. And that's a really long surgery for like someone really little or just in general. But I know that my parents were just sitting out there not knowing like if I was going to
Yeah,
make
and
it.
I remember because, like Halie said, like we were with our family friends, and I remember that night, like we fasted all day, and then we ate dinner, and like Julie was so
Oh
stressed out.
wow.
Like we all were, but she was like very stressed out, and she was kind of communicating with mom and dad. And there came to a point where she was like, "It's already been 7 hours. Like it shouldn't be any longer." So yeah, it was scary.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. Um yeah, so that was long, and then after that I did chemotherapy and radiation therapy, and um just some like vivid memories. So I don't know the order of them, but I remember at one point they were trying to, I think they were trying to draw my blood, and I just remember like screaming and crying and like not wanting it. And I remember dad holding me. And like that's like one of those things that like you're so young, like you can't really, you're just like why? Like
Right.
why am I
It's
having to
hard
do
to
all this?
understand why.
Like yeah, even if you're like I understand that I'm sick, but like
Mhm.
why do they need all this? Like they just got blood, you know? And I did end up getting a port like in my chest so that they wouldn't have to stick me all the time. So that must have been before I got the port. But that's one really specific memory I have. I also had a blanket that was, I called it like my
I
horsey
remember
blanket because it
horsey
was red.
blanket.
We still have it. I wish I would have brought it upstairs. Yeah, it was red and it had brown horses on it, like running in the wild. And I remember like I would like use it as like my invisibility cloak. And when the doctors would come in, like I just remember one morning like they came in and I just like hid under the blanket, and I was like if they don't see me, like I don't have to do treatment. I'm like kind of getting a little choked up, like it's really sad. Um Sorry everyone. um so yeah, I remember that. And then this last memory that I'm going to share, I know is going to make me cry. um so I just remember being really sad in the hospital. And I don't know, like, again, I don't know the timing of it. I don't know how long I had, like, been on in the hospital. But um, I remember that I was, like, walking down the hallway. And in my mind, it was, like, this, like, big
Yeah.
white hallway because I was young. So it was, like, white hallway, and it was, like, lined with windows. And I looked at the end of the hallway, and I just saw all of you guys, you and Sadie with the Vanderstoops, and you were all just like running towards me. And oh my gosh, we're like a mess.
I was going to share that one.
Yeah, I remember that because I was really sad. Like, I just remember being like so sad and just looking down this like super white, empty hallway and just seeing everyone running towards me. And I was really happy. Do you want to share your perspective of that?
um yeah, I actually put that one in my notes because like I said, like I was so young too. Like I feel like I really suppressed a lot because I'll get like flashbacks sometimes, but like this is one thing I will never forget. I remember driving with the Vanderstoops and it was like dark, it was late at night. and it was the first time we saw you. And yeah, I just remember like you walking down the hallway holding the IV bag, bar, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And like mom and
Uh-huh.
dad were there. That's all I remember though. Like I don't remember I think I remember us going to like a playroom or like a computer room. That's all I remember though. Like I don't remember what we talked about or anything. And then I just
Yeah, I don't remember
yeah, and then I just remember
either.
like driving away. And I wanted to cry, but Sadie was there. Okay, we just had to cut because we needed to compose ourselves. And if you're watching on YouTube, that's why we might look a little bit red. So, um, but
Yeah.
we're okay. We've just like never talked about it before with each other, and it's a lot. So,
Yeah, we probably should have talked about it before, but in a way, everyone's kind of like getting a peek into a personal
yeah,
little like
and it's
therapy
just not
session.
something that
So it's
comes
kind
up
of interesting.
naturally.
No,
No,
it's really not. Like, let's talk
no.
about our childhood trauma.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I last left off. Yeah, so we drove away from the hospital. And yeah, it was just me and Sadie with the Vanderstoops. And they were amazing. They are amazing. We still keep in touch, but they were our family friends. They took
Hmm.
great care of us. So me and Sadie went back to their house with them and then left you, and that was really sad.
Yeah. Um, so yes, that was my favorite memory. And maybe I was like thinking about that memory before because like I might have just told someone about that, but it was really recent in my memory. So, um, anyways, another happy thing that came out of it was my wish trip, and for that we got to go to Disney World, and we stayed at Give Kids the World Resort, which is like I'm pretty sure they're partnered
Make
with
a wish. Yeah,
Make a
it was so
Wish.
fun. We should dig up some pictures because we took so many. We got yeah, like this was all your wish. This was
Hmm.
through Make a Wish, so you got to pick everything we did. They literally picked us up from the house in a limo, and we got to ride in a limo to the
Hmm.
airport.
Yeah.
Like literally the whole way through, we were taking care of
Yep.
like everything we needed was there. And it was so fun. Yeah, we got to go to Disney
Yep.
World. At this point, Nat was born, so it was like our whole family.
Yep. And it was really fun because like the Give Kids the World
Mhm.
resort that we stayed at, it was like just this like
Yeah.
fun little village, and the mascot was like, or the mayor was a bunny, and every night he would come around like with the bunny in the costume. But every night he would come around and give us gifts.
It
And it
was
was like
fun. Yeah, there
super
was a
fun.
parade and we got to dress up.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
to
they
be in
had
the
all sorts
parade.
of
It
fun
was
stuff.
super
So after
fun.
like having the day in Disney, we'd come back and just do activities. It was so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a really happy moment that I want to highlight. And do you have anything else that you wanted to
No,
highlight?
besides like what you've been doing now, like I wanted okay,
Hmm.
yeah,
That's what I
cuz
was going to go into.
you alluded to it in the beginning of the episode, but yeah, it was like 3 4 years ago maybe you like really started to realize like I want to be an advocate. I want to be an activist
Hmm.
for kids who have cancer and cancer survivors. And so I think it was 2017 maybe, but in the month of
Hmm.
September you hosted a Go Gold party at our house, and we had a lot of people come. We
Yeah.
had a photo booth, you had a movie on the lawn with a projector. That was fun. Like just all sorts of little activities to like
Yeah.
bring awareness to Pediatric Cancer Month.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really good time, and I had just started out with
Hmm.
like my activism, so it wasn't as much of a turnout as I wanted to, but like you got to start somewhere. And so I'd love to do, we've already talked about this. We want to do
Hmm.
another Go Gold party next year. So we have a lot of time to plan it and have a bigger turnout. Another thing, like I said, like I use social media every year to promote it. And we'll share some of those posts, some of those different, like, I guess, campaign type things I've done. We'll share those on the Instagram for you guys to see at Real Talk About Feminism. Something that was big that has been the most meaningful to me is it was actually last year, and I had sunflowers
Mhm.
painted around my scar because my scar has always kind of been like now I'm honestly like that sunflower thing really helped me to like be confident about it. And I don't hate it anymore, but like it was kind of just like hard for me to look at because like I mean I stood up at the beginning. If you guys are watching on YouTube, it's pretty big. It used to be
Mhm.
across my entire abdomen and now it's like halfway, but it's just really big. And I doubt even like when I'm wearing a swimsuit or anything, I doubt people really notice it. um Maybe they do, I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me now. But the point is like I used to just be really self-conscious about it, and it used to remind me of like really painful memories. But within the past year or like year and a half, 2 years, I've been trying to kind of just focus on like the positive aspect of it. And yeah, like I'm not perfect, like sometimes it sucks like thinking about different things that happened. But yeah, so I had sunflowers painted around my scar because sunflowers
Mhm.
will face the sun. And sunflowers are also my favorite flower. So I had the flowers painted around my scar and I took pictures and everything. And it was just kind of a little way for me to say, like, even in hard times, like this scar that reminds me of a really hard journey that I've been going through in my life. Um, the sunflowers around it can remind me to face the sun and like look at the good things that have come out of it and stuff like that. So that was like one of my favorite
I
things that
really
I've
like
done.
that.
Um, yeah, it was really amazing. The last thing I want to highlight was I was actually able to address our city at a car show with the mayor, and it was really cool. We'll share the
Definitely.
article
That was
actually.
really
That would
cool.
be
Yeah,
cool.
mom still has it
Yeah,
hanging up in her office.
that was yeah, that was 2 years ago, and yeah, it was just really cool because I just like I always reach out to like people like newscasters and just like people who I think could like possibly use their platform to help me share awareness. And then the mayor got back to me and was like, "Yeah, we're doing a car show. Do you want to come up and speak?" And I did, and it was really awesome. So we'll share screenshots of that article on the main so that you guys can
Very
read it. It's
cool.
really cool.
Somehow I forgot about that. I was, yeah, I
I
was
think
in
it was
St.
because you were
George,
at
but still,
school.
that was really, really cool. So yeah, there's good that can come out of it, and
Yeah.
I feel like you've done a really good job of like trying to be positive, even when you're having a really hard time with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely hard, and I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, like I just look at it as like such a positive thing now. Like, no, I don't. It is hard sometimes, but I've done a lot better, and I really am thankful for this second chance of life. And it really is like, I just feel like there's so much value in sharing our family's journey and our family's story. And I think that you offer a really unique perspective too of just kind of like obviously like we don't really talk about it, and that's okay. Because we go through things in different ways, but I think that you do offer a really unique perspective of like there's like
Hmm.
secondary trauma too. Like just because I was the one that had the sickness doesn't mean that everyone else doesn't have hard moments. Like I know it's like it was hard for everyone. And even like it's interesting because like even though like Nat wasn't born yet, Nat has seen the later part of my
For sure.
journey
Hmm.
and how I deal
She
with it
has.
now. And you have a perspective of like remembering different things while we were actually going through it. And I would say Sadie more sees what I'm going through now also because she was really young. Um, I've also never really talked about it with her, so I don't really know, but it's just interesting. So I think it's really important to recognize that like it's a whole journey for everyone. And like not just immediate family, but everyone that was around us, like all of
Yeah, I
the
was gonna say that
the
too. Like
extended
literally all of
family.
our family and like close friends and like literally
Hmm.
everyone, even if they weren't there
Yeah, like
necessarily, they're still very involved.
so kind of just to close out this episode, we just wanted to highlight kind of how everyone can help. Oh, and something I totally left out Um, all of the statistics we got from acco.org, and that is American Childhood Cancer Organization. They're a super great organization, and they put out a lot of resources. So definitely check them out. But if you're thinking right now, like, what can I do to help? What can I do, like, to do something for Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month? Just some ideas that we have for you. You could, if you're in the position, you could donate to a children's hospital. um, you could go to the acco.org website and check out all those resources. I know they have different ways you can raise awareness and different causes you can donate to, different things you can do. Another way is just like listening to survivor stories, because for some people it's therapeutic to talk about. Like for me, it's very
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic to share my story, even though it's hard. So you can do that. And you can also volunteer. You can try volunteering at hospitals. I know with COVID right now, it's probably hard, but there's different ways. Like if you reach out to organizations like the Ronald McDonald House, which our family did stay at when we were going through this whole thing at the hospital. You can just reach out to different organizations like that who help, and there's always work to do. So definitely check out all of those ideas if you want to help, and you can always reach out to us if you need any more
Those were
ideas.
great. And like we said, we are trying to plan a Go Gold party for next September. So we're really going to work on that. And if anybody is in the Denver area or wants to come out for it, that'd be awesome. Um, we could do
Or we could
virtual
even
too.
do like a
Yeah,
virtual live
that'd be
stream
cool.
of
Just
it
like
too.
anything to raise awareness, because there's a lot of people affected by childhood cancer, like either firsthand or seeing somebody go through it. We did read the statistics in the beginning, and that really shed
Hmm.
some light on how many people really are affected.
Yeah, it's definitely just like a really awful thing that we never want anyone to have to go through, but unfortunately people do. So we want to kind of use our experience and try and raise awareness to, raise funds to do more research and
Mhm.
possibly find a cure to childhood cancer.
That
So
is the goal.
that is the goal.
As always, follow us on Instagram at Real Talk About Feminism and watch us on YouTube, Real Talk About Feminism podcast. And I won't speak for you, but if anybody has questions about like our experiences or childhood cancer in general or like other ways to help, please DM us, reach out to us. I would be open to
Of
sharing
course.
things like
Of
that.
course.
So just, yep, let us know.
Yeah, me too. We're always just ready to answer questions or help in any way we can. Or if you have something that you want to share too, as well, if you have any experiences, then we'd love to hear them. So reach out to us. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and YouTube at Real Talk About Feminism podcast on YouTube and Real Talk About Feminism on Spotify. And
Bye.
we'll see you guys next week.